Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, a narcoleptic comedian, and this is a podcast where I interview people in my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy or music, and relationships. This week I had Chicago musician Kristina Cottone in my bed. We had so much fun talking about everything from like writing songs in the middle of the night, early influences, weird house shows, a mean mommy game she used to play with her aunt, and much, much more. Kristina is part of the Honey and the 45s band in Chicago. You can find out more information at Honey and the 45s, that's 45 the number.com, and you can buy some of their albums as well on Bandcamp. You can also follow them on Instagram and Twitter at Honey and the 45s. Kristina also does some solo work under the name Kristina Cottone Music. That's Kristina Cottone Music. And you can go to KristinaCottoneMusic.com or Kristina Cottone Music. Follow her on Instagram and Twitter. She has some awesome songs, some which she was so kind to let us feature in Super Narcoleptic Girl, and so excited to have her on. She does have an upcoming show on June 22nd, Friday, June 22nd at Navy Pier in the Beer Garden as part of the Live on Lake series with Honey and the 45s. So catch her then. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. This week, I would like to recommend Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl by Carrie Brownstein. Again, that's audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, all the places you listen to podcasts. I really appreciate it. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Well, let's get started with the show.
Sleeping with Sarah.
Hi. Hey. I'm Sarah. Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm here with Kristina Cottone.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
This is a very comfortable setup.
Thank you. I have never had anybody play a ukulele in this bed before.
Really? Well,
No.
I'm glad to be your first.
All right.
Days come, nights fall. I don't wanna go. I don't want to go. Kiss me right now. If you want me so. If you want me so. Be my baby in the moonlight. I don't wanna go. I don't want to go. Be my baby tonight. If you want me so. If you want me so. If you want me, come and get me. If you want me, come and get me.
That was great.
Thank you.
So how'd you sleep last night, Kristina?
I slept really well last night, which is somewhat unusual for me. I have a lot of problems with sleeping.
Oh, me too.
Who knew?
I know.
Yeah, so but last night I slept through the night. I had quite a busy day yesterday. I had a rehearsal in the morning and then work in between and then another rehearsal that night.
Oh,
so
busy.
I think I wore myself out sufficiently. Yeah.
So what sleep problems do you have usually?
I wake up in the middle of the night for 1 to 3 hours almost every night.
Oh, wow.
And it's not a bad dream, or I don't exactly know what's going on, but I'll just wake up and I'm trying not to do anything with checking my phone or looking at a screen because, I've read or heard that you shouldn't do that and it'll keep you up longer.
Yeah.
But that's a bad habit.
So what do you do? Do you write or what do you do when you're... Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I'll write or sometimes I'll wake up with a song idea, actually.
Oh.
But then other times I'm just thinking, I think I overthink about all the things that are going on that are coming up. And
you worry about them and then that keeps you up. Yep, that happens a lot.
Does that happen to you?
Well, for me, it's a little different. Like, yeah, I'll wake up and get worried, but then it's really easy for me to fall back to sleep. But then, like, I'll sleep way longer than I should and then not get the stuff done that I need to get done.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what ends up happening for me is I end up sleeping, like, too much. Or, like, I might have, like, a low day where my medicine isn't working as well and I just need to sleep more. And my body's just like, you need to sleep. Sure. And, like, I can't get out of bed. And that's harder.
Yeah. So educate me more. I mean, do you have to sleep a certain amount every day? Are you supposed to sleep more?
Well, narcoleptics don't necessarily sleep more. It's just some do. I mean, I usually probably sleep more a day than most people, but it's just a need. Like, our body just, like, the way I feel, if I didn't take my medicine, the way I feel every day is how you would feel if you were up for 2 or 3 days straight. Like, that's how I feel all the time.
Wow.
And so I take medicine to stay awake, which usually helps a lot, but sometimes if I'm pushing myself too much or if I'm trying to do too much, like, the next day it'll be a lot harder.
Yeah.
And so, or sometimes it'll be like I'm doing a lot and my body just, like, I have to take it. Like, I've had so many naps in my car where I was parked, but, like, I should specify that. I was parked in my car, but, like, I had just, like, parked, like, I had to go, like, I just finished doing something, or I had, like, I was, like, getting groceries, like, something simple, like getting groceries or something, and I'm parked outside of my apartment, but my body's just so tired, it's like, you have to sleep. And then, like, I sleep for 15 minutes, and then I wake up, and then I go and continue. So it's just, like, sudden things, and then there's the falling down thing that does happen occasionally, but not as often anymore. It was really bad in high school, but it's, like, once every 3 weeks or so. It's not a bad deal. But yeah, it's manageable with the right medication, but it's definitely weird. And then when I first wake up, I'll hallucinate, and sometimes if I hear my roommates doing stuff, like, I'll, like, I'm not sure if that's a hallucination or if I'm hearing them, and, like, yeah. So, like, it's just when I first wake up, I usually hallucinate a little bit, which is weird.
And you've used it to turn it into all these great things.
Yeah. I mean, to inspire it, I guess. It's just, it's a weird thing, because not a lot of people know about it, and I used to not be as open about it, because we've known each other for a while,
sure.
And when we first met, I wasn't as open about it, I don't think, and it wasn't until I started really doing comedy that I was way more open and wait, let me specify. It wasn't until I was doing stand-up comedy that I was way more open in sharing the details of it and having people really understand it. Before, I kept it kind of more of a secret. And because I was afraid of what people would think, which is stupid, but whatever. But yeah, so have you always had trouble sleeping?
Yeah, I've always had trouble sleeping. I've always been a worrier. I don't know if that's part of being in the entertainment artist world, but and also just I feel like I'm more creative at night too, so if something, if I wake up with an idea, I don't want to go back to sleep until I've gotten it out.
Well, a musician too, it's like late night comedian, late night.
I will say though that having the voice memos has changed my life on a cell phone, because I used to wake up in the middle of the night in high school and have a melody in my head, and I would have to sing it over and over and over again, and I'd write it out, and I didn't know any musical notation at that time, so I would just, like, write arrows up and down where things went, because I didn't want to forget the melody. But now, when I think of a melody in the middle of the night, I just pick up my voice memo and record it into my phone, and it's there in the mornings.
At this point, there was a little error with the microphone, and so the audio quality is a little bit lower for the rest of the podcast. I hope you still listen and enjoy, but I wanted to give you a heads up. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and not remember that you made a melody, and the next morning you're like, oh, I did a melody last night? It's like a gift to yourself.
I'm sure that's happened, but I don't check my voice memos every day. So what's more common is, like, I'm looking for a song idea, and I just go into my voice memos, and I have like a month's worth of recordings, and I'll just be like, oh wow, I recorded this one on the train, I recorded this in the middle of the night. And so it's really useful for me when I'm trying to think of, unless I specifically remembered in the middle of the night that I had a great melody, then I'll wake up and listen to it automatically.
That makes you think of last night I did this house show called Live from Your Mom's Basement. It's this house show in, like, Winnemucca Park area. But anyway, so one of the people that performed, it was a variety show, one of the people that performed, and she said that she wrote down 24 different themes or titles, and then she spent a whole night where she woke up every hour on the hour and wrote a haiku.
Wow.
And
like
then,
set an alarm? And
yeah.
Okay.
And wrote a haiku based on the random titles that she wrote.
Wow.
And then she did that. And she did that all in one night. And then she just read and I was like, that's really interesting. I'm not sure if that would be something you can translate into a song, but that's like...
That's a good challenge.
I was like, that's such a cool idea. I'd never had the idea of like waking up in the middle of the night, because there's something with your brain and the way sleep works that like your creativity or something, it might not make sense, but and some of them didn't make as much sense, but that's fine. It was for a comedy show.
What a great experiment too.
Yeah.
So that show's called Live from Your Mama's Basement?
Live from Your Mom's Basement. Yeah, it is in a basement in a house in an apartment. It's just like one of these like house shows. And they have people that do music, they have people that do dance, poetry, stand-up, characters, that sort of stuff. It's a lot of fun.
I feel like house concerts and things that are done from more and more popular. I mean, for comedians, for musicians, they have a whole thing called house concerts that a lot of musicians are starting to do when they're touring, and it's better because a lot of venues or promoters will take so much of the money that you make, so when you're on the road, it's more intimate. You get to connect with your fans and, do a show in someo's living room.
And actually hang out.
Yeah.
And then also it doesn't conflict with like a big venue that's like you can't promote within X amount of miles, right?
We know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess with comedy, yeah, it's kind of like, I do enjoy the little house shows, especially with the shows like like cool, warm environment, that's like such a great audience. And I feel like everybody that goes to house shows chooses to be there, wants to be there, goes out of their way to be there. It's not someone that just like came off on the street and was like, oh, like $10 to see this band, let's check it out. It's like you have to, there's a different level of interest level. You have to go out of your way to be somewhere. So they're much more attentive audience, much more supportive audience. And like they're not on their phones and that's like these house shows that are growing.
It totally resonates with me. It's spot on.
Yeah.
In fact, there's like one of the house concert shows called So Far Sounds, like they have a rule that you can't be on your phone and you can't be talking when the music's going on, and everybody respects it and loves it.
That's
yeah,
so great.
It's great.
Because I always feel like the difference between music and comedy is like music you can enjoy even while it's passive, so you can have a conversation and still enjoy the music. But with comedy, you kind of have to listen to get it,
right?
And so like there's that difference. Like we're like not talking during music.
Well, it's great because when you play a big bar or a venue, I agree. I think it is more passive and like you're not worried about people listening to the lyrics and really like thinking, oh, that song has great lyricism. But the house concerts, it gives you a chance to do some more intimate, mellow songs that are more lyrically driven. That when you do at a venue, everybody walks away because they're just there to dance and have fun, which is great. It's just totally different.
A different vibe. And so you've been performing for a long time, right? Overall, just like performing most of your life?
Most of my life, yeah. Pretty much since I was like 5.
And yeah, about the same here. So acting started, right?
Yeah, my aunt was actually an actress, and she was in a production of Nonsense in Minneapolis.
Oh.
And she brought me on stage. They had someone from the audience, like a little kid, do the Pledge of Allegiance. Their production. I don't know why. Maybe she just made that up so that I could do it that night. But
that would be. That's so. If she did that, that is so sweet. If that wasn't part of the play, you're like, hey, my little niece that is 5 years old, she's fantastic, and I know she's going to be an amazing performer one day. And I just need to do this for her. So let's just do.
Well, it was great. I mean, it was fantastic. I went up on stage and I said the Pledge of Allegiance, and people applauded, and I was like, I like this.
I like this applause.
Yeah. So she really influenced me. She passed away. She was in comedy, really, really funny person, and we used to do, I didn't even know it at the time, but we would do improv. We would go to the grocery store and play this game called Mean Mommy, which was so fun and so cruel to the people around us because she would act like a really, really mean mom, and like I would be just very earnest and like, Mom, no, and she'd be like pulling me. And then we would like watch people's reactions, and then we'd go to the car and eat candy and laugh, and like
that's hilarious. Oh my god, I would so do that with one of my friends' kids.
Super fun.
That sounds really fun. Of course, nowadays you might get in too much trouble. That was back then, where it was more.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I loved it.
And then when did you start doing music?
So I actually was always kind of a singer-songwriter. I play an instrument until college. But I was always writing songs. My mom was kind of a closet songwriter, so she was always writing songs in the house, and so I kind of grew up around that and the whole storyteller vibe. So
Would she just sing songs in the kitchen while making food?
Absolutely, yeah. She doesn't really cook very much, but she making cereal. And she would sing all the time, and we would write little songs together. And my grandpa was a singer too, so there was just a lot of music and acting.
Very creative world that you're from.
Yeah.
What about siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 sisters and 1 older brother, but no one is really in the arts.
No one.
Yeah.
Okay. And your parents aren't either?
Well, no, my mom's she's a retired professor, but she's writing a novel right now. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is this her first novel?
This is her first novel. So yeah.
What genre?
So it's actually, it's called Madrina, and she says that the elevator pitch is that it's a female version of The Godfather, but it's not. It's like women, and the kind of the hierarchy that goes into that are in a family, and the dynamic of, having a role model, but also clashing with people in your family.
So it's not about getting people killed.
No, it's not exactly.
So I was like, Godfather. That's interesting, because I feel like women, that's a little different.
That's exactly what I told her. She said, "I'm going to tell people it's the female version of The Godfather," and I'm like, "But this isn't a mob story. What are you?" So anyway, she's still working on the elevator pitch.
But you are.
I'm Italian. I'm half Italian.
Okay.
Yeah, but not on my mom's side, so
Gotcha.
I don't know what she's thinking.
So Cottone, is there, have you been to Italy where the other Cottones are?
I haven't. I've been to Italy twice, but so it's very strange because my great-grandfather was from Sicily and my great-grandfather was from northern Italy, and they got married, and that was actually very rare in that time.
Because you stayed in your zone.
Yeah, you stayed in your zone. So I've been to the Amalfi Coast, and I've been to Rome and to Venice, but I've never been to Sicily. I would love to go and visit.
I haven't been to Sicily either. I've been to Rome and Florence and Cinque Terre, and that's it. But next time I want to go all over.
Yeah, I love it. The food is wonderful.
Amazing. A lot of food, but very, very good. And so you studied acting in school.
I did. So
music, and then where did the transition happen during college that you decided for music, or where did that?
Good question. I started playing guitar in college, and I was very dedicated to acting. I'm still, wouldn't turn down a role if someone offered me a really perfect role today. Although I would have to get back on the bike and revisit the craft a little bit, but. So I started playing guitar my junior year, and that really helped with the songwriting. And then I acted in Chicago with Organic Theater for 5 years. And at some point, I started a band, and I realized that I was spending more of my time and energy writing songs and playing shows, and it just kind of started taking off, and I just didn't have the capacity to do both anymore. So.
Yeah, because acting does take a lot out of you.
Yeah.
A lot of emotional things. That's what happened with me. It was I kept getting in all, because I went to Meisner School, so all serious roles, and I was a heroin addict, I died in a prison, all these horrible things, and it takes an emotional toll on you and your personal relationships as well.
Absolutely.
And then I found improv and sketch. I'm I can rehearse 3 hours a week and get what?
It's a
and
different
then
ball game.
That's where I started making that switch.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's very cool. And so your band. So when did you start your band?
We started in 2009, I think.
Wow. Oh wow, that is.
But not really. We didn't put out our first album till 2012.
But still, we started that's 9 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And
crazy.
It's called Honey and the 45s. And how did you come up with that name?
Yeah, good question. So we actually had another name at first, which was a terrible name. I don't even. Well, it was called Snow on Sunday, and the reason that's so terrible, especially in Chicago, is because when you Google that, you get weather reports, and so we would be like, Snow on Sunday has a show on Friday, and people would be super confused.
Oh, no, yeah, that is a very confusing...
And we were also experimenting with like some punk and folk, and we had like a whole identity crisis going on. But so we wanted a new band. I was actually at my favorite record store in St. Louis, which is called Vintage Vinyl. St. Louis is near where I'm from. And
where are you from?
I'm from Edwardsville, Illinois.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
So my family's I've got family in Centralia, Illinois.
Okay, awesome.
So,
I feel like it's so bizarre. Everyone always knows Edwardsville.
Yeah.
I say St. Louis because I'm afraid no one's going to know a small town, but almost everyone I touch I know Edwardsville. So.
Yeah, 618. Yeah.
618.
Yeah, that's a small world. Yeah.
Small world. Oh, no. So I was, I was in the record store, and I knew that we had wanted a new band name, and I was in the 45 section, and I, like, kind of did a spin, and I pointed at a record, and it was Herb Alpert's Taste of Honey, and I was like, oh, I love honey, and it was a 45 record. And so it's just
Honey in the 45.
Yeah,
that's so cute.
And we had kind of a throwback feel going on at that time too. So.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you started the band. It was kind of your baby. You got all the band everything. So it's like you're producing it as well.
Yeah. I started it with two other friends who have since one moved to LA and one is out in the suburbs, has two beautiful children and has kind of gone in a different path. But we started the band together, and then, our sound started more folk, and then when we started adding different members, it got more electrified, and now it's kind of like a soul rock band.
Yeah. I like the energy of it. It's very fun.
Thank you.
And so then you've been doing that. So you guys had how many albums do you have?
We just released our third. So our debut album was released in 2012. It's a full 10-song album. It's called The Need. And then we released a kind of a long EP, which was 7 songs. EPs can be between 4 and 7 songs.
Yeah, so what is an EP? What's the difference? Can you explain the difference? Because I don't know the difference between an EP and a regular album.
Basically, an EP is a mini album. Okay. It's between, I guess you could say between 3 and 7 songs. And an album is a full-length album. 12 songs. EP stands for extended play. Ooh. So you have you have records, or you have 45s, which can be like a single or 3 songs at the most because you flip them over. And then you have the EP, which is extended play, kind of in between that and an album.
So an EP is like a 30-minute stand-up special, album's like an hour long.
Exactly.
I just translate everything into comedy for myself.
Very good.
And then now you started, and when did you start doing solo stuff too? Yeah,
so last year I finally a long-standing challenge to myself to do some solo music. So I released my solo EP called Bow, and it's a 5-song EP, and I performed a few shows, which was terrifying to me. One of them was at Rockwood Music Hall in New York.
Oh, that's fun.
I was like, why did I pick this for my first show playing alone? Because I was terrified. But
that's interesting. So why were you because you've been performing on stage all your life, right? So why did you find performing? Is it just because you're performing on your own, or?
So it's a mix of things. I performed acting, and I've had monologues, and been alone on stage, and it's been okay. Although I've always been kind of a nervous person, but performing your own songs that come from your own emotions and your own soul, and then adding to that being alone on stage, very scary for me, but also very rewarding. So I'm trying to do that more and trying to push myself to do that more, because I know it's like anything else, the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll feel. So
yeah, I mean, I guess it is because you're a lot of songs come from heartbreak or whatever, well, I feel like a lot of songs are about love as well. Yeah. Yes, love, heartbreak, that seems like most of it. So so that will transition to my next question. So, because we have to talk about relationships, have you ever had an ex that was that song about?
Yes, I think that happens all the time, and a lot of times they are. But
and do you tell them?
No, I keep it in. Sometimes it's really obvious. So even if I were to say, no, it's not about you, I'll say things in them that are very obvious. But it's been pretty interesting when I was a younger songwriter, everything was totally from my soul and my own emotions. But just kind of recently in the last year, I really have been... Bob Dylan has the quote that says, I don't know whose songs they are, but they aren't mine. But it's like you get inspiration from something, and it's you're just making up a story. Mm-hmm. And so recently I've been writing songs, and they're not my stories. I don't know whose they are. So maybe that'll help me performing alone, because it's not actually
it's not about you personally.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's like using your imagination more to do that.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of goes with the territory. If you date like a writer, a musician, a comedian, like you can expect to have something written about you. If, I guess if the relationship mattered. I'm not saying it doesn't matter if it doesn't end up that way, but I've definitely had people, like, I've had a couple jokes I've written about people, and they're like, yeah, like, they know it's about them, and that's fine, but, I mean, they know that it doesn't matter. I would tell the joke anyways, but...
Right.
And with the song, like, I would feel kind of cool. At least, the very least, if the relationship didn't work out, I'd be like, well, at least I inspired that cool-ass song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And how long have you been in Chicago?
I've been in Chicago almost 10 years. I love it. I love it here, so...
Seems like a really good place for music and, like, the scene here.
There's so much going on, whether it's comedy or music or theater or art in general. I really love the city. We had been really lucky with some mild winters, but we had a lot of snow this winter.
It was not fun.
It was not fun.
Not fun. Gosh. And then you're single, too, yes?
I'm single, yes.
Yes.
I love it.
I think with like, a musician, probably easier, because then you get to work on your stuff all the time.
Yeah. No, I've been extremely focused the last few years, and I just want to keep that going, and it feels good, so.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm like, I'd rather be going out all night working on my own stuff than, having to, like, feel like I have to spend 2 or 3 nights with somebody.
Right.
I mean, even if you're in love, and being in love is great. Don't get me wrong. I've been in love. It's great when it is, but at the same time, I feel like and maybe, I don't know if you feel the same way, when I'm in love, it's like, when I was in love, that was like the most important thing, and my other things came like second.
Yes.
It's like, now it's like, no, my stuff and my goals in life have to come first, and whoever I'm dating has to come like second and third.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find people that will like be like, yeah, that's cool.
Right.
I don't have to be.
Right. I mean, ideally you find someone that is like also pursuing things and really passionate and focused on things, and also who supports you. But that's very rare. So
it is also hard to find someone, because but then you might be in the same field and you're competing against each other, and then there's that. Have you ever dealt with that?
Yes, yeah, that's a difficult dynamic, actually. I was engaged a while back, and my ex-fiance and I were both in music, and it did turn into a little bit of kind of a competitive atmosphere. I don't think anything was intentional, or, but I could just sense some resentment if I was playing some show in some venue, so that can be...
Or like you were getting more opportunities than he was, or...
He was a very talented musician, but I think that creates another layer of complication, definitely.
Yeah. Does he still do music?
I'm not sure.
Isn't that nice, though? Like, when someone asks you about their ex, and you're like, I have no idea.
I don't know.
And I'm fine. Because it takes a while, to get to that point, and then when you're just like, I hadn't thought about him in a while. Yeah. That feels nice.
You're not tuned in to that part of your life anymore. It's very strange, but good.
That's so cool. So, so you went to school, and then you just...
Yeah, I immediately moved to Chicago, and I thought about moving a few times, but everything that I'm doing is here. My band's here, my job's here, my friends are here, so... and I like, the summers are so incredible, and I'm so excited that we're coming up on almost the summer season.
Almost summer. Hey, we're almost to, I always say, summer and dating season are about the same in Chicago, and it's bookended by 2 different holidays. It's St. Patrick's, Halloween is the dating season, and if you don't have your cuddle buddy by Halloween, then it's single all winter.
That's so funny. That's a good way of thinking about it.
So we're almost to St. Patrick's Day.
I have horrible memories of St. Patrick's Day, because my first few years I lived in the city, I was waiting tables. And
many of us do.
Yeah, and I worked at an Irish pub downtown, and working St. Patrick's Day, I have some of the worst memories of my life.
Oh no, do you get Patrick's Day PTSD?
I enjoyed.
No, you haven't?
I probably should this year. I should make an effort because it's been a long time since I've had to wait tables. But
Well, this year it's on a Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So this year St. Patrick's Day is on a Saturday. So I figured, because this will be my, I mean, maybe not my last one ever, but the last one, like, while I'm living here. So it's like, I'm definitely going to go out and do that, you know.
Maybe I'll join you.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Dye in the River, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like most of the things in Chicago involve, like, just heavy drinking. Like, it's like they combine everything that's heavy drinking.
That's what, yeah.
Well, that creates good audience members, right?
Right. Well, hopefully. Hopefully they don't try to get on stage with you.
Have you ever had, okay, what's like the weirdest thing someone's tried to do, like, while you're on stage, like, during a show?
Oh gosh, we've had a lot of people try to get on stage with us. And at some point you learn to just not let someone have the mic no matter how much they promise you they're, like, a star from wherever.
Wait, hand people a mic?
We were in Madison, Wisconsin, and we were playing a kind of a smaller venue, and so people were coming up to the stage and talking with us, and this pretty rowdy crowd, and this woman, like, swore up and down that she was, like, this famous blues singer, and, like, had this amazing voice, and we're like, all right, come, get on stage. Not only was it was very difficult to listen to, but she would not, like, give up the mic, so then it turned into this interesting
trying to get the mic.
Yeah. So, lesson learned. Don't give away the mic.
To anybody,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and you're the only one that sings in your band?
No, actually, we have another female singer. She's excellent. Her name's Sonia Major, and she plays keys. Oh, and nice. And so she's been singing more and more, and we have an upcoming show at House of Blues, and we do a lot of vocal trading, so it's going to be really fun. We also have another drummer joining us, so we really section. We were kind of talking earlier about, like, venues and bar shows and venues being, more upbeat. Mm-hmm. So that's what we tried to do with this concert.
So with your band, you've got keys, guitarist, drummer, bassist, and singer? Or am I wrong?
So there's some overlap there. So I actually play rhythm guitar and I sing. And then there's a keys player that also sings. There's a lead guitarist who's now starting to sing harmonies, which is great. And then we have a bassist and then a drummer. And on this next show, we have a second. There's just a lot of rhythm going on.
So it's like a 5-6 person.
Yes.
And then how many women are in the band?
2.
Yeah. Okay. That's still more than most.
Yeah.
It's a female-led band, which I think is very cool too to see. Yeah.
It's great, and the guys in our band are so respectful and awesome and great, and are like our protectors if we ever go on tour too. So that's nice.
Have you been on tour a lot, or
we've mostly done kind of regional touring. We want to do more of that this summer. Obviously, summer's the season for it. Mm-hmm. So we'll go. On the weekends we'll do like Milwaukee, Madison, and then another weekend we'll go to, Springfield, St. Louis, sometimes Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah.
Just like kind of regional little tours on the weekends.
Tours. That's nice.
Yeah. I would love to get to New York. I'd love to get to LA, but it's just getting there.
Yeah, getting there, doing the bus thing.
Yeah.
Would you love like a bus life? Like
I think it would be fun. I would love to do that. I would love, if we were able to go on the road for a few months at a time. I think that would be a great adventure. So.
And then how do you write your songs? I know clearly your personal stuff you write on your own,
sure. But
then when you're writing a Honey in the 45 song, or like how do you know now if it's, you start writing a song, how do you know if it's a Honey in 45 song or if it's a Kristina Cottone song?
Sure. So because the band is more soul rock vibe, I really kind of if I hear a melody, I automatically, or the emotion behind it, I already automatically be a personal song of mine, or this is going to be a song I'm going to bring to the band, or a melody I'm going to bring to the band. And the things that I bring to the band, I never like to complete. I don't like to bring in full songs anymore. I used to do that in the beginning because the other members of the band truly are, trained, very talented musicians. And so it's so much more fun to just bring a little piece or an idea, a riff or a concept, and then hear what happens.
Collaborate and build around that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So it's great, yeah.
That's very cool. And then so yeah, I'm thinking of your songs in my head right now. So like comparing the things.
Sure.
I really like The Need, you use a lot of like cool vocal things, like within it. I can't do it, but like you've got the, you know, like you have these fun vocal things that make it very like fun and upbeat. Does that make sense? How do you decide to do that, like that noise instead of a word? And then like, does that make sense? Like,
sure, it's basically like a vocal riff or a vocal cue, and that's becoming way more and more popular in pop music. And they have this thing I was reading about how like the diphthongs are becoming very popular in music,
which is
like,
interesting because
you know,
in theater you learn about that for what is it, the phonetic alphabet,
right. So those sounds are becoming more and more popular, and the more and other songs, it becomes, they call it like an earworm. And so then they recognize that sound and they hear it in another song and they're like, I automatically think I like this because they know it. They recognize it. Even if it's not the same exact notes, they recognize the pattern.
Yeah.
So it's becoming more and more prevalent. And sometimes sometimes the words are just wrong and it's just an ooh.
Oh, gotcha. You know? You're like, the word doesn't work here. I'm just going to ooh.
Right. And sometimes the ooh captures the feeling more than a word ever could. So
that's very neat.
Yeah.
1 second. I got to like reset the time real quick because this will have, it can stop now. Sorry, only like.
My arm's like whistling.
Oh, is it? Hold on. I always like have this bad habit of sitting on my. So sometimes when I get, and then like I was doing this one I was at Chris Kindler with one of my friends, and I was like, oh, I need a second, my foot's asleep, and then my friend was like, oh, your foot's narcoleptic too. Who are your musical influences then? Like, what would you say?
So as a solo artist, or let me do the band first. As a band, there's people that come from all different backgrounds. So our lead guitarist is got a lot of jazz and rock. And then we've kind of have morphed from blues, soul, and so some of our influences are like Alabama Shakes, Amy Winehouse, meets, sometimes we do more folky stuff, meets Nora Jones, we kind of weave in and out of genres a little bit, but have kind of soulful, jazzy vocals throughout. We can get more rock or more blues or, more pop, depending on the mood or the theme of the album.
Nice.
We had a guest rapper named Pinky Ring in Chicago who was my Uber driver.
What?
And I saw her Kickstarter and she was incredible. And she recorded on our song Speak this amazing, powerful verse. So I encourage you to listen to Speak by Henny and the 45s and listen to Pinky Ring's verse. It's really, really cool.
Very neat. So from Uber.
Uber, yeah. She's got her own fantastic career.
So she was driving your Uber.
Yeah, she was driving and she had pink hair and pink seats. And she was just this very, very.
She should be driving for Lyft with her pink. Sorry. Yeah. Just with the pink theme, you'd think Lyft, right?
Maybe she does. I don't know if she even has to do that much anymore because she's so successful with music. She just got a grant from the city of Chicago to be a hip hop ambassador, and I think she's going to be.
Wait, a hip hop ambassador? That's a thing. That sounds amazing.
She's going to be traveling all over the world, I think, teaching hip hop. So she's incredible. Couldn't say enough.
That is crazy awesome.
And then my kind of personal influences, I'm kind of old school. I love Janis Joplin. I love the Beatles. I love Carole King. Mm-hmm. I love Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra.
Gotcha.
All those guys. So
more jazzy.
Yeah. But also the folk side, Bob Dylan's side. Yeah.
What's your favorite venue in Chicago? Or is this going to get you in trouble?
No,
you have to pick a venue?
No, I would love to promote it. Lincoln Hall is my favorite venue in Chicago. Great staff, great room. The sound is incredible, and the green room's nice. Everyone that you meet is really respectful, and it's just a great venue.
The lighting is great, too. I've taken photos for bands
Good
there.
lighting.
The lighting is awesome.
Yeah.
What drives me nuts when there's a band playing and then they change the lights every 2 seconds. It's their lighting is awesome.
Yeah, and it's good for that venue is good for the fans too, which is another. You can get up closer. You can be further away. They have a balcony.
Mm-hmm. You can sit or you can stand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to a concert there in October. That's the last time I was there.
love it.
But that's really fun. Awesome. And then, so you think that you're sticking to music, right? You don't think you'll go back to the acting or?
I am sticking to music, although I recently had an acting audition that just kind of fell into place. And
well, a lot of times they might look for like, hey, we need a singer that can also act.
Yeah. So I mean, I went on it and I thought, wow, I actually, now that I'm older and not as nervous about much, writing on it, like I did when I started out, it was the process was a lot more. Was a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. So I don't know. I'm playing with the idea of tipping or putting my toes back in the water.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
if it works.
But I love. Music's obviously my first.
Yeah, your passion. Yeah, that's very cool. So real quick with the album, you guys write the songs, you record the album, you release the album. Then when you tour, do you songs or do you also tour with like newer songs?
We tour with the album songs. We even tour with the first album songs, and then we try out and kind of workshop new material as we're writing it together. Yeah. So it's trying things out in person is always great because if people really are listening, you're like, oh, this is a keeper, and if people are walking away, then you're like, okay, we're not putting this on another album. So
you kind of decide where you're going with that. Yeah,
exactly.
That's very cool. Yeah, I feel like a bandmate's kind of like a weird like family, like with that.
It really is. I really feel like my bandmates are some of my closest friends and absolutely feel like family.
You kind of have to be because you spend a lot of time together, right?
Yeah, yeah, and you go through it all together. Scheduling conflicts, you have to deal with all of those like kind of internal things, and just the chemistry of playing music together and listening and being in the moment that's another reason why I think I like performing alone sometimes, because being able to vibe with the other musicians on stage is like such a enjoyable experience.
And I think it's really cool because the connection on stage and that live connection and being able to have an experience. This is why I still love, like, I really appreciate arts and like live performance, because I feel like with this whole digital age and everything, even though we can access things online and see them, but being in person and being able to see so different in terms of the energy versus you just can't match it, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah.
And I think it's just so different in terms of all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people can, the thing that's so great about comedy or about music is even with people's attention spans shrinking, like there's something, it's a new joke or it's a new song, whereas it's a little bit different for the challenge I think theater has is people's attention spans are so short now. So it's harder for people to sit.
Yeah, like a check-off line.
Yeah, it can be a challenge. So I think theater companies and need to be mindful of that in the future. And kind of, I think a lot of them are starting to integrate actually like live music and other kind of live elements to help with the attention span.
Yeah, I remember the Hypocrites would do that a lot with their what was it, Pirates of Penzance and like that sort of more interactive thing. But yeah, I feel like theater is having a weird moment at the time. I feel like they're kind of struggling to keep their audience, the ones that aren't musicals, I'll specify.
Right.
I feel like they are struggling a little bit to keep their audience, keep people engaged.
Right.
I don't know if you feel that too, but I'm just like, I don't know what they're like. Maybe they're having a little identity crisis on how they fit in with this whole new
like digital era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably theater, and like I need to see more of it. I haven't been going to as much theater as I probably would like to, but I totally agree. I think it's a whole different ballgame now, and I think that the theater companies that are thriving are probably addressing that issue in different ways. But
yeah. I mean, I it's not something that I want to be not doing as well, but it's like one of those things. It's like they're going to do about how to fix it. Besides keep putting up plays based on like Harry Potter or like Dirty Dancing musical. So I know that they're trying to do that with the musicals and trying to bring that stuff back, but old plays that are really great that no one might have ever heard of. And I guess New York still has that market and they're still doing really well with that. But I feel like Chicago, I don't know. Which there are still some really great companies in Chicago and great plays to go see. But like you, because comedy happens at the same time. Music, I haven't been out to see a play in a while. I think I saw one in the fall.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit, but
I still have a lot of friends in theater, so I'll see their shows, and but I haven't been to kind of like the top tier theaters in a very long time in Chicago. But yeah,
when I was in school, I used to take the and I used to usher for plays for free because I couldn't afford them. I would usher at the Goodman at the Chicago
it's called,
Shakespeare.
Like being the Saints or something?
No, I technically wasn't part of the Saints.
Okay.
I would just literally call the theater and be like, "Hey, do you guys need an usher?
Smart.
I'm a theater student." And no. And then I would go. I would bring a button-up white shirt like in my bag. And sometimes I went with people and like Looking Glass, and like it was great because I got to see these plays that I definitely couldn't afford because I was broke. During the day I would go to museums that would like pay what you can or whatever, and I would literally pay like $0.25 and walk in, see the museums, and then I would go see plays for free.
And you were having a great life full of art.
I was.
Right.
I mean, I had to like kind of finagle my way into doing that, but like at the same time I was like, I wanted to see stuff.
Sure.
And it's expensive, and we're still like it's still hard.
Right.
But yeah, I think that having those arts are important. So I'm not sure if I could ever live in a city that art and theater and museums and that sort of thing.
It's life.
It is life. It is life. And I hope that people in smaller towns get a chance to like get out and like experience those things.
I hope so too. I think it changes you.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, you're fortunate enough. Like my dad really liked musicals, so I was exposed to that like at a younger age. Yeah. And you had your aunt and you had your uncle as well, and people that were just like all artsy around you, so that kind of influenced. But and I also went to a weird school that had to take music and art every year until like 8th grade.
Wow.
So
was that a positive experience for you?
Yeah. We had to take music, art, and humanities every year.
That's great.
And so even though it was like I learned to play the recorder, I'm mad at myself. And I'm like, my mom had me play the violin when I was 5, and even for a child's violin, my hands were too small, and so I got frustrated, and I was embarrassed to tell anybody that I didn't like it. So I did it for a whole year, and the only thing I liked was...
Why is that the way, you know? It's like you're scared to tell somebody that's an...
I know! It's also your child, so it's like that weird thing, and you're not secure enough with who you are, and all of that, and you look back and you're like, I wish I was just a little bit more confident, or a little bit more aware of that. And so my favorite part was when we would play the notes on the piano, and I was like, man, if she had had me in piano, maybe I would have learned piano at a young age and continued. And like I said earlier, like I dated a musician for 5 years. I'm so mad at myself. I know some chords on the guitar. Sure, I know some. But no, I could have learned how to play for free. I mean, it probably would have ended our relationship sooner, but... but yeah. Well, as we're winding down the podcast, I always ask people what their hopes and dreams are for the future.
Oh my goodness.
You can think as big as you want. Like, it doesn't have to be music related. It can be multiple things, whatever.
Well, I would love to be able to completely support myself with music or in the arts. I would love to make an impact for other females in the arts. Mm-hmm. I really believe in connecting and helping each other and lending music for web series or whatever you need to do.
Thank you so much for doing that. We really, really appreciated that.
It's my pleasure, yes. I just want to stay connected and be, mindful of that, of empowering women in the arts. And my other kind of hope for the future is to live somewhere with more sunshine eventually, and have a garden.
Have a garden? Yeah. Yes. Have a garden where you can just grow your own food. Yeah. I like that. That's fun.
Make a ton of art. Yeah.
Continue to just make art.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great goal. That seems a very, very reachable goal. So that's awesome.
I hope so.
I think it is. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. This is so fun and so comfortable.
I know. I try to make it as comfortable as possible. And we always end by saying good night. So good night, everybody. Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Kristina Cottone. Be sure to check out Kristina on the 22nd, and please follow her on social media at Kristina Cottone Music and at Honey and the 45s. Please remember to subscribe and rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. We're brought to you by Audible.com. Please go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. I'm releasing a new podcast each week. Be sure to tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. You can find out more on sleepingwithsarah.com. And please follow me on Twitter @SarahAlbritton. Until next time, good night.